Okay, guys, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And this is my dual enrollment information session. So you guys are the brightest, our accelerated students. I'm going to be giving to you a lot of information here, and it might be a little bit overwhelming. So please, if I don't answer your question in the chat, if it's not a real general question, something more individual to you, just reach out to me after the meeting and we can discuss. Okay, thank you again for joining. So today we're going to be talking about dual enrollment. So what is dual enrollment? I'm going to talk about the criteria, the process, some advantages and potential disadvantages, try and give you as much information as I can regarding the dual enrollment, what it's all about, and the process. So dual enrollment is a really excellent opportunity for accelerated high school students to take advantage of college classes while still a high school student. Students have the opportunity to earn college credit and also high school credit. So a lot of times, students will think that they've got to finish all their credits and get their requirements out of the way, which isn't the case. So just kind of want to clear up any kind of misconceptions and make sure to answer any questions that you have. So when you dual enroll, you're taking college classes that will also count toward your high school credit graduation, and you're earning credits toward both degrees. Okay, so the GPA requirement is basically where we start. Anytime a student talks to me or asks about dual enrollment, the very first thing that I do is check their cumulative grade point average. The unweighted, they go by unweighted GPA, not weighted GPA. For sophomores, it's a 3.5 GPA, and for juniors and seniors, it goes down to a 3.0. Test scores are the second criteria that are needed. So most students at the time that they go into start taking college courses have not sat for the SAT or ACT. Sometimes they have, and that's great because then I can just upload those score reports to the testing center and you don't need to worry about testing. Or perhaps if you took the SAT or ACT and you scored low on the math score, you can come in, go to FSW and take the AccuPlacer, just take that math test and get the score that you need. So for test scores at FSW, they will mix and match. They do accept the AccuPlacer, which is the college placements test that they use at FSW. It is untimed, it's computer-based. You get your results right there as soon as you're done with the tests. And it's also free for you as a student. So that is step number 2, basically. Number 1 is to apply if you have the GPA requirement. Once you apply, then we'll go ahead and get you scheduled to sit for the AccuPlacer. So that is step number 2. You got to have the grade point average, and then you got to go and get the cut scores in the reading. You got to have the score in reading to take any class at all. They test you in writing and they test you in the math. I'm not going to go too much into the test score requirements. FSW does a really good job of having the majority of their information pretty set up on their website. So they are using now the next generation AccuPlacer. Some of you may have siblings that use the PERT. The PERT after last year was the last year for the PERT. So now the test, the college placement test that they're using is the AccuPlacer, and you can find these cut scores on the FSW website under testing. Okay, so what are the benefits of dual enrolling? It saves money, number 1, and that's a big thing is for you and your family. You don't need to pay, you don't have to pay the tuition or the required textbook materials. So you could potentially have a semester or maybe 2 Some of you get your associate's degree before you even graduate from high school. So that is definitely a huge benefit. It saves you time. So students are earning high school and college credit at the same time, and you're going to shorten the number of years that you have to be in college in order to get your bachelor's degree, or potentially your associate's or associate of science degree. When you dual enroll at any of the state universities, the credits, the classes that you do take do transfer. So if you know that Florida Gulf Coast is where you want to be, or University of Florida, University of Florida, we'll talk a little bit about, they do prefer AP classes as opposed to DE classes. But the classes that you take at FSW or FGCU will transfer and follow you. They will be on your college transcript. So once you take Comp 1 and Comp 2 at FSW, those classes are done and you can move on, continuing towards your degree. Okay, so there are possible disadvantages to a high school student taking college classes. You are not on the same policies and procedures as a dual enrollment student, and there tends to be a lot of confusion with that. There are certain requirements that you have to follow as a dual enrollment student because you're not paying for those courses, as opposed to a college kid who graduated and is paying for those courses. So if you're mid-semester and you're a true college student and things go south in that course, you're able to withdraw or drop that class from your transcript. As a dual enrollment student, after the first week of that semester, you only have that first week, you are in that class. And I really need to that's like the biggest thing that I stress to parents and students. A lot of times I got a lot of kids that go out and they're really academically motivated and they've got great ability, but sometimes lack that maturity that's needed to be able to seek out resources, to go find that professor, because the teachers, they don't talk to your parents, and there's no way for your parents to be able to see how you're doing in that class. You are in college. Those teachers, those professors only speak to you. So sometimes I won't know if a student's doing poorly until I get that grade report at the end of the semester. So you just really need to make sure and understand that you are beginning your college transcript. So once you're in those courses, you're in those courses, and whatever grade that you earn at the end of that semester is going to be on your college transcript, as well as your high school transcript, but more importantly, your college transcript, because that can follow you potentially all the way to graduate school. So you just really need to make sure you don't bite off too much. I try and advise you, especially the first one starting out. I like to start out with maybe a composition or a math class, and then along with the SLS 1515 or the cornerstone class, which is an elective, but it teaches you basically how to be a college student. It's like FSW 101. Where do you go for this or for that? You have access to the gym, you have library, you'll get your Buck ID. You can access all of the things as a dual enrollment student that they offer. So that SLS 1515 or the cornerstone class will teach you all about that. So a possible disadvantage to go back to is if you don't do well, if you don't stick with it and finish strong and end up with a C or a D or sometimes an F, that will be on your transcript and it will follow you. So that is definitely potentially a disadvantage because you are not able to withdraw or drop from any class after the first week of each semester. And then another potential disadvantage is that once you have your 60 credit hours, your associate's degree, so this associate's degree is basically your first 2-year degree of your general education requirements. So after you leave high school, you still got to do college level English and math and social science and stuff. So you have 60 credit hours that you need to complete for your general education degree. So if you graduate from high school and you have your AA degree, you're going right into your bachelor's program. you got to know what you want to do. You got to know what you want to be, what you want to study. And sometimes when you're 18 years old and you have limited experiences, you're not really sure. So that could be a potential disadvantage because you would be expected to begin on the next 60 credit hours, which would be for your bachelor's degree in your college of your major. So whether it be College of Business or Education or Engineering. So that could potentially set you at a disadvantage if you're not really sure yet what kind of career you want to pursue or what school you want to attend. Oh, and UF, I just want to mention in there, every year when we have our state university admissions meeting in the fall, UF will always state that they do prefer that their students coming in. So if UF is on your radar, they do prefer that you do the AP classes and take the AP tests for college credit. And then sometimes they'll even make you retake those AP courses. So usually though, dual enrollment is a great way to go. Most schools will accept those and prefer those credits. Any questions on that? Okay, so FSW has a really great website. Dr. Stirk is our liaison at dual enrollment for our dual enrollment students. She has put together a really cool handbook. Parents, I really recommend students that you do take a look at this handbook. It's got everything that you would need to know about dual enrolling, all kinds, tons of information. So please do know that this resource is available on their website under /dual enrollment. Lots of good information here regarding dual enrollment, the steps, etc. So I wanted to point that out to you. And then for students, when you are ready to apply, if you go to fsw.edu/dual enrollment and click on the student links, she's got it broken down here for you kind of step by step. So step number 1 will be to apply. You will definitely, please make sure you apply under the dual enrollment or early admit. If you apply and they are asking you for money, you completed the wrong application. So here is the link that you would go to. You want to apply under dual enrollment or early admission. If they're asking you for an application fee, then you're completing the wrong application. You don't have to pay any money here for the dual enrollment. So after you apply, about 24, 48 hours later, you'll be getting your Buck ID, your student ID for FSW. So once you have your student ID, then you're able to go to the testing center at FSW and schedule an appointment to take the AccuPlacer. Placement testing registration. And then you can request a remote testing via Zoom or go on campus and take the test right there. They do have some practice tests here, and I do recommend that you do some practice because it is untimed. It is just a one shot, it's computer-based. You get your scores right then. In the past, up until this semester, you had to wait an entire semester before you could retest. They just changed that to where you can go in and retest within 30 days, but you have to show that you did some form of mediation. And they do offer some classes and things through the testing site. So if you do some form of remediation within a month and you are able to test, but remember you can only test up to 3 times with the AccuPlacer. So please use those times wisely. So after you go into your testing, after you get your testing, then the next step will be to complete the orientation, the accelerated student orientation. And you can find that link under FSW/dual enrollment under student links. So the accelerated pathways orientation, you have to complete that just one time. And it needs to be completed before we can complete the registration document for you to request courses. So that is FSW's way of making sure that you're familiar with the different policies and procedures as a dual enrollment student. So once you've applied, once you have submitted and have the test scores, once you have completed the orientation, then we are ready to get you registered for courses once the bulletin opens up. So for January, for spring semester, the bulletin opens up November 4th, like that first week in November. So that's when all the classes that they're offering, all the times, all the teachers will be posted. And everybody who has those criteria met, any current dual enrollment students at that time, we go ahead and get you registered for January. So please make sure you are not waiting till the last minute, like the week before. This is a process and we need to start it way in advance at the start of the semester so that you can get everything completed and be ready to go once that bulletin opens up for either the fall semester or the spring semester. So you do register. I'll show you what the document looks like, but you will first, when it's time to get courses for you, I'll teach you how to do that and where to look. You will enter in your name, your email, whatever email that you're using, my name and my email. And when you click begin signing, this document is going to be sent to the email that you put in here on this application. So that is the document that we're going to complete. Let me show you. I thought I had one. So it looks like this. So when you open up the document, you're going to part one is to be completed by you, the student, and I will help you find how to look for CRNs for the courses that you want. The subject course is what we would be looking for. You need to put down the section number, and they do ask for an alternate. And we'll talk more about that when we get to scheduling. So when looking at this form, you put in your information, and please make sure to put down your FSW student ID. When they ask for the name of your high school, we are the Lee Virtual School. If you're applying for next semester, your term of enrollment will be spring of 2022. And then you'll go down to the second box, click on that add button, and then we'll put in the information that they're requesting in order to get you enrolled in the courses that you want. Then you'll hit finish or complete. I forget exactly what it says, but then that will then come to my email. I'll open it up. I'll complete the part 2, which is verifying that, yes, you do have the GPA that's required. You do not need to send in a transcript at any time. This is the only document that you'll need to register for classes, and you will always have to do it with me. There will be a hold in your portal and Canvas, so you won't be able to do anything through this without my assistance. So remember that, keep that in mind. Sometimes kids get confused. They go and try and register by themselves, and it's not possible. You can't do that as a dual enrollment student. So once I do my part 2, and I hit complete or send, then that goes directly to the registrar's office. So FSW will take that document in, they'll assign you to the classes. If there's an issue, they'll tell us that it was not completed and give us the reason why. Once that document is completed by the registrar's office, you'll get an email and I'll get an email, and we'll open this back up, and you'll have to make sure that the classes you requested that you did get into. If not, then we're going to need to do this course, and maybe the class was full. Maybe you chose an honor section by accident. For whatever reason, maybe you don't have the prerequisite needed. So it's really important, you guys, that you are looking for this document after it's been processed by registration. This is going to confirm that the courses that you wanted and you requested were actually completed and are on your schedule. And then from that point, you'll go into your portal account and you should be able to see your schedule and make sure that all the courses you requested, you'll be able to see right there what your FSW schedule is for the spring, okay? So I know I'm giving you a lot of information. Just take it all in and just reach out to me when you have any questions. So step number 1 is to apply. Step number 2 is to test. Step number 3 is to complete the orientation. Step number 4 is to register for the courses. Okay, so for you students that are eligible and you are ready for this, the registration process, all students are working toward their associate's degree, or I do have some students that go for their associates of science degree. It's really, I can handle the college, the high school requirements, your Englishes, your social sciences. But after the first semester, and especially if you're taking the SLS 1515, the cornerstone class, which I highly recommend the first semester you're out there, you will have to meet with your advisor at FSW. So they can help you with all things regarding your college degree and checking off those requirements to make sure that you're on track to get your associate's degree. I'm fine with the high school requirements and can tell you the courses you need to meet your high school degree. But you'll definitely need to be working in conjunction with your FSW advisor. And I have had Zoom meetings with students and their advisor and myself at the same time. So that's not a problem. Leonardo, the step number 1 is to apply. And then step number 2 would be to test, make an appointment to take the AccuPlacer once you have your Buck ID. So apply, test, complete the orientation, and then we get you registered. And again, we want to start this process early this semester, prior to the semester you want to begin taking the college courses. So this is a breakdown of the associate's degree. I don't want to talk too much about it, except to show you, just like in high school, you need 24 credits to graduate. You need 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math, etc. This is the breakdown of your associate's degree, your associates of arts. So it's 60 credits. Just like in high school, you need a certain amount of elective credits. Here, for this degree, you need 24 elective credits. So that's a good time to maybe do some exploring, introduction to business or introduction to engineering. But there are several, they got lots of good options for electives. But this is kind of telling you the breakdown of how many credits of each section that you need. And it's also telling you what the course code is. So once we start looking for classes for you, when we're looking for Comp 1, for example, we're going to be plugging in ENC 1101, English Composition 101. And I will teach you and show you, but this is going to be the guide to tell you what is the course, what is the course code and number, because you're going to have to become familiar with this when we go and begin registering you for your college courses and looking for these college courses. FSW, most of my students do choose to do dual enrollment at FSW because they do offer the majority of their courses online. So FGCU has a great program, and I'll talk a little bit about that toward the end. So this is what the next degree, the most of you will be working toward, is your Associates of Arts degree. So before I do sign you up, I am going to shoot to you in an email an agreement. And I do want you and your parent to go through and read that. A lot of the stuff pertains to brick and mortar students, because they got to make sure that their schedule, if they're going on campus, doesn't conflict with any of their days that they have face-to-face classes. It just talks about how the FSW calendar is different than the Lee County School District calendar. You may start school a week early or perhaps start school a week later. So you really need to make sure that understand this is another school that you're attending, and you need to abide by all of their policies, their calendar, their procedures. So really the most important parts are that you can't drop a class after the first week. That's the hugest part. I really need everybody to understand after that first week, you're in that class. So you want to make sure you look at that syllabus. A lot of students like to use the website Rate My Professor. I wish they had that when I was back in school. But you can, the earlier that we start this process, the more that we can plan and research. And do know, obviously, dual enrollment isn't recommended for any high school student. It's really only recommended for independent, self-motivated students that are going to be responsible and understand you are starting your college transcript. So again, there is no communication between the college professor with me or with your parent. So you're totally independent, you're beginning your college career. And I just really want to make sure that everybody understands those things. So I will shoot to you this 2-page document and ask that you please look over it, initial it, sign it, and get back to me. Oh, and another thing that's talked about on the another big part is that do not purchase any textbooks or materials unless you want to. If you want to have whatever for your own personal library and hold on to that, that is perfectly fine. But this is another reason that we want to register you early for these classes, is so that I have plenty of time to put in your book order, request the materials that you need, so that they're here waiting for you to pick up, and you'll pick them up here in my office before that first week of school. So the later that we wait, clearly you may not have the materials that you need on that first day. And if you're getting stressed and mom goes out and pays $150 for a book, just understand that we cannot reimburse you. So we want to, again, get on this process early, start this process, choose your classes wisely, and not try and do any changing as we get closer to, sometimes things change, and we would go back to that registration. We would have to complete that registration form again, and you would hit drop on the top box, and maybe we need to find a different time or move from in-person to online. So we would simply complete that registration form again by going to fsw.edu/dual enrollment under student links. You put your name and email, you put my name and email, and then go in and drop or add whatever it is that we need. You'll send it to me. I do my part. I send it to FSW, and they let us both know, usually within that same day. Sometimes it's the next day, but usually it's in the same day. And that will let us know that they did receive it and it was processed and you're in the classes. So a lot of the questions sometimes is, do I have to have 6 classes at Lee Virtual School while I'm dual enrolling? And the answer is no. So if you're doing composition 1, for example, you're a junior or you're a senior, that's going to take off English 3 or English 4 from your transcript. If you're doing math, college algebra, you're not going to be doing a math class here with us. So it just depends on how many classes that you're taking at FSW and what the credit value transfers to us. So we'll talk about your schedule as we make it, and make sure that you're not got too many plates spinning and too many dual enrollment classes and too many high school classes. So we just want to make sure that you've got a good balance, that you're checking off the requirements that you need. So as we get into this and as you become familiar with the process, you'll understand what I'm talking about much better. Okay, I already shared with you what the registration form looked like. So this is the drop section on the top. If we ever needed to drop, again, this is the same form that we'll use at all times each semester to request the courses that you want on your schedule and to make any adjustments. And that's through a DocuForm on the computer, super easy. So again, talking about making adjustments, we really want to do that as early as possible. And you need to get in that class, look at the syllabus. It will be in your portal beforehand. Make sure you got a good feel for that professor. If not, we'll want to drop that class in that first week. It won't necessarily be a good idea to pick up another class. So sometimes I'll have students choose 2 classes and then decide which one they want to drop after they see the teacher and they see the syllabus, but we can talk about that too. So if you want to do DE classes for fall of 2022, when would be a good time? You would start in January. Let's start that next semester, get that ball rolling, because the bulletin will open up like mid-March. So we'll want to have you registered, your classes ready, your books ordered before we go on summer break. Great question. So for any students that are interested in dual enrolling for January, if that's something that you're considering, then you need to go to fsw.edu and you need to apply right now and make an appointment once you get that Buck ID to go in and take that AccuPlacer. Please don't procrastinate on that. And for anybody else, we've got plenty of time to get you ready for fall of next school year. So again, go ahead and apply. When they ask you on the application, what semester are you seeking enrollment, make sure and put spring 2022 or fall 2022. Make sure and put the semester that you're looking for to enroll. Okay, any questions up until now? I know I'm giving you a lot. So for textbooks, once you're in the course, the required materials will be ordered. I had a student ask if she took the, I forgot, I think it was like a digital photography class, and one of the requirements was a camera, and that those kinds of materials unfortunately are not provided. So, but the majority, your textbooks, any course, any codes that you need will be provided. So you can check your syllabus once you get the syllabus and go to required materials and let me know if you're missing something. If you've come in, by the way, you'll come in here to the office before the semester, pick up your dual enrollment textbooks or materials. And then at the end of the semester, as soon as you're done with those exams, please, 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 please bring them in to me. So I can get them recycled, returned back in. So do remember, any book that you borrow through dual enrollment, you do have to return at the end of the semester. And don't buy anything and expect to be reimbursed. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so obviously do well. You are starting your permanent college transcript. I cannot stress that enough to you. Make sure you are seeking out help. Know your resources out there. Know where to go if you need help writing an essay or you need some math tutoring. So again, that's why the SLS 1515, I highly recommend that class. It is a required elective for your associate's degree. So let's get that out of the way and teach you everything, get you more familiar with that college, with that campus, and where to find things. Of course, stay organized, have the calendar out, know when your exams are going to be. Look at that syllabus, make sure you know what assignments you need to turn in and what date, especially if you're doing it online again, obviously. And Taylor, no, we don't have an agreement with Kaiser University, unfortunately. So that would be on Kaiser's transcript for you, but that wouldn't go toward the SLS Cornerstone is specific to FSW. and their school and their policies and their procedures and how they do things in their Canvas and their portal and things. Okay, so I talked to you about the dual enrollment, the agreement, student and parent agreement, which I'll shoot to you in an email before we get you registered. So again, just to kind of recap, number one, the step will be apply. And apply under the dual enrollment early admission application. If they're asking you to pay money, you're on the wrong application. You do not need to pay money or send a transcript. Step number two or three, I like for you to go ahead and make an appointment to take the test. After you make the appointment, you can go on, once you have that Buck ID, you can go on and complete that Canvas orientation. It's online. So those 3 steps need to be complete before we sit down and we talk about classes and find classes to get you registered. Once you're registered and the classes you're assigned, once those textbooks are in and ready for you to pick up, I'll shoot you an email, let you know. Come on in here, pick up your materials. I just have them on my table here with your name on them, ready to go. So again, as soon as you're done at the end of the semester, you will return those materials, just bring them right back into me. Okay, so that was FSW, that was Florida Southwestern. The majority of my students do go to Florida Southwestern because logistically, Florida Gulf Coast has a wonderful program, and I've got several of you guys that are out there doing early admission. So early admission is you're taking all of your classes at FGCU. When you're at FSW, you can take all of your classes, but the majority of students start out taking some high school, some college classes, and then will grow into a full-time semester schedule. But Florida Gulf Coast wants you on campus and you're there full-time. All of your classes are at FGCU. It's only available to rising juniors and seniors. They only accept students in the fall semester. So if you're a junior this year and you're interested, or even a sophomore, and you know that Florida Gulf Coast is where you want to go, and you're driving or you have a car to get back and forth from campus, the application is due in March. It is a university, so you do have to have an SAT or ACT test score. So you would need to go to the SAT College Board and choose one of the testing dates before March, and the same for ACT, if this is something that you're interested in doing. They do have parent information sessions several times during each semester. So you and your parent would definitely want to make sure that you attend. One of their information set meetings. Where is that? Calendar. Okay, so they got one October 5th. I got a couple in October, a couple in November, and then they will have several in the spring semester. But again, the deadline, so the application opens up in January. The deadline is due in mid-March, and they'll let you know before the end of the school year whether or not that you were accepted. The criteria is a little bit more selective, because it is a university. So you do have to have an SAT or ACT score. The GPA weighted that they're minimally looking for is a 3.7 weighted and a minimum of a 3.0 unweighted GPA. So do know if you are interested at Florida Gulf Coast, you know that's where you want to be. You can always apply and say no thank you if it doesn't work out for you, where it's too far for you to get there, or you thought you might have a car but you don't have a car, or your license or whatnot. You can always apply and just keep that as an option. And if you get accepted, you can always say no thank you. and then just take classes at FSW. So I just want you to know that this is an option. And if you do choose to go to FGCU and the ACE program and continue at FGCU after graduation, they will give you a stipend to continue. They'll pay you. And I don't know how much, and I'm not too familiar with it. So that's why you definitely want to make sure and attend one of these information sessions, because they're going to give you all that information and explain everything, the program to you, so you can determine whether or not that will be a good fit. The dual enrollment notebook will cover pretty much, tell you more than you probably wanted to know about dual enrollment, all the nitty gritty. So what I've gone over is basically the process. And again, the criteria, please don't wait. If this is something that you're interested in, let's start this process. Let's get this ball rolling and get you moving. And also just throwing out there, in case you've got any siblings or you are interested maybe in a welding certification, you are able to access the tech schools as well for dual enrollment programs. They don't offer all of their programs. They're not all available to dual enrollment students. Some you do have to be a high school graduate and have your high school diploma. But you got to have the majority of the requirements out of the way. So this is really important that we start talking about any of the programs out at the tech schools: welding, refrigeration, air conditioning, electricity, medical assisting, those kinds of things. CNA, they have in Cape Coral in the night and the evenings. So please know that that's available, and reach out to me if you have any questions. Here is my contact information. Again, I thank you all for coming and joining me. And I know I've given you a lot of information. If you have any questions at all, email me or call me. This is my email and my contact number. So just reach out for me, and I'll stay on here for any general questions. Otherwise, thank you for joining, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.